Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our second podcast of the Vitalogy podcast. That's what we're calling this podcast, and this is a production of Emmanuel Faith Community Church. My name is Josh, and I'm the teaching pastor here at Emmanuel Faith, and so really, we can't do classrooms right now, and so this is one of the ways that we are creating a learning environment for you. And so we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, and in fact, today, as always, we'd love it if you join in on the comments and say hi. Before we begin, I want to tell you about a few things going on around the church here. We're in the midst of Christmas, and so we are planning for Christmas in a weird COVID Christmas way, right? But we've got some really cool things happening around here, and I want to just tell you about a few things as people are joining in here, and as you enter in with us. I see a bunch of people already online. This is great, but here's what's going on. We have three big events going on this Christmas season. The first one's coming up December 13th, and we're actually going to have like a walk-through Christmas celebration. Okay, there's gonna be caroling and singing and multiple different places around campus. You're gonna have a chance to walk or drive through the campus and to see lights. We're decorating the place. There's gonna be treats for kids and hot cocoa and everything like that on December 13th from 6:30 to 8:30. It's going to be an awesome time. We're really looking forward to that. We're going to be lighting a very large tree as well, okay? So make sure you come out to see that. Hi, Connie. See you there. Welcome to the show. And, that is December 13th, like I said. If you want to come out and help us decorate this campus, we need as many lights as we can, and so we need you to bring all of your extra lights. Bring it out to the church. Bring out your decorations. Do you have those big blow-up cheesy things? We'd love to see those as well. Bring those out, and we're going to be decorating the campus on December 12th, the day before Saturday, from 1 to 5 p.m. We'll have more information out about that as it comes. So, the second big thing is really, really cool, because if you know Emmanuel Faith, around the holidays, one of the things that you look forward to every year is our Christmas concerts, because everyone in the area knows that we put on some of the best Christmas concerts around. Okay, I can say that because I have nothing to do with them. I am not the musical one, and so that is not me. But Pastor Dave Hook does a fabulous job of Christmas concerts. Now, this year, we don't have, we can't gather as a concert, and we can't gather in our worship center for a concert. But this year, the concert's coming to you, and so you're going to have an opportunity to watch a online Christmas experience that they have been recording for months. They've been working on. It is top quality and top notch. It is going to be really, really good, and so that's going to be coming out December 18th. So look for more details about that. And then finally, Christmas Eve. It just wouldn't be Christmas without a Christmas Eve service. And so our Christmas Eve services are on, you guessed it, Christmas Eve. Okay, so on Christmas Eve, and I believe the times are going to be 3, 5, and 7, and we're going to be outside. It's going to be a fun family Christmas production. So we look forward to seeing you there. So Christmas is coming around here, and even though it's COVID, and even though we're in this crazy lockdown weirdness, we're still going to celebrate Christmas. All right, amen to that. I hope that in all of this, that you really get to actually experience the Christ of Christmas. And that's what this is all about. In fact, our podcast is called Vitalogy, and Vitalogy really literally just means the study of life. And we're not talking about the study of biology, of that kind of life. We're talking about real and abundant life, because that's the life that we believe that the best way to experience that life is through experiencing Jesus. And so no better time to do that than this Christmas season. This week on our podcast, on this live, we are going to be interviewing somebody that is going to be a real treat. I'm really excited to bring him in right now in just a minute here. He is somebody that I have missed for a while, and I know many of you have as well. You haven't seen him around, but he's one of our pastors. Yeah, I'm going to say he's still one of our pastors, even though he has moved away. I get to bring on the podcast today Pastor Chip Whitman, ladies and gentlemen. And so, Pastor Chip, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Josh. Good to be here. Good to be with you and see you once again after these 4 months.
Yes, it is. It's been a while. In fact, I've noticed I haven't seen you around the office lately. What's going on?
I slipped away in the midst of COVID. Yeah.
Yes, you did. You got up and left in the midst of COVID, didn't you? And now this was it just happened to be during COVID. You had been planning for a while to be kind of moving with family. Tell us, where are you right now?
Vancouver, Washington, which is not Vancouver, Canada.
Not quite.
We are 15 miles north of Portland, Oregon.
All right.
And my whole family, we decided to move up together. So there are 6 of us in one house, which is my wife and I, Joanne, and she says hi. My son, Matt, his wife, Erin, their son, Lennon, our grandson, who's 5. He brings a lot of vitality to our household. And then my son's business partner, Brandon. So
all right.
It's so all of us are under one big roof, 3-story house, and we're loving it.
That's great.
We have to because we're all stuck together.
Yeah, you are. I mean, that's a great way to do COVID, right? You've got your bubble built it right into your household.
Yep. Yes, we have a bubble. So
so you're in they call it Washington, right? Is that how they say it? Okay.
Yeah, Washington.
Washington is not. Do they? Not Washington.
Not Washington. Okay. No, that's if you're from somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah, we. So we've been up here since August 1st, and we're loving it. We're actually getting 4 seasons, so we're in the late fall, and this morning it was 31, and got up to a whopping 53 today, which it is now, and.
Oh boy.
We've had it in the 20s. We expect some snow this winter. So
yeah, well, it's been cold here too. It got down to 60.
No.
Yeah. We're suffering here. I'm just kidding. It's gotten a little bit colder, but we tend to freak out over just a little bit of cold here.
I remember.
We got a few people saying hi. So Debbie Hill, she says hi, Chip, and then she makes sure to say, we miss you, Prince Charles.
That's sweet.
Prince Charles.
Too sweet.
Guessing there's got to be some story about that. But thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Deb.
Let's see here. We got people joining us.
Oh, there's Lori.
They are glad that we're here. Hello, Michelle. Good to see you guys. It's so good to see everyone joining us. If you're here, jump in. In fact, I want to invite anybody that's watching right now, and I see there's a bunch of people online watching. This is great. Anyone that's online, say hi to us, and then also be thinking about questions. And I want to, especially for Pastor Chip here. See, Chip has a lot of experience in helping people deal with all sorts of different things. And so we're going to be talking about some of that later. But if you have any questions, any ideas, any things you want to bring up today, we'd love to know. Oh, look, Kathy Dennis is here.
Hey.
Kathy Dennis is back with us.
Oh, great.
On staff right now, so which is great.
Good.
And look at this.
Hey,
people
Robin.
saying hi.
And Jack.
Here. All right. Well, so
great.
you snuck out. Scott Smith says, "Hi, Bobo."
Scotty, hey, Bobo.
Yeah, it's good to see
buddy.
Scott. Oh, this is great. Well, okay, so you'd been planning this move. You know, it kind of it happened in the midst of this crazy time. So you know, part of me bringing you on here is a way to let people know what's happened, because they haven't seen. There's a lot of people who haven't seen any of us because they've
Yeah,
been stuck at home this whole time,
sure.
and so they haven't made it to church, and so we we get to bring you into this conversation, and I think there's some really helpful things that we can learn. But before we get into that, you're not just sitting around.
No.
I'm excited to hear about what you're doing. Tell what are you doing there from your home office, or actually, I've heard it's your home kitchen office, right?
It is. It's
What are
in
you
the
doing
dining
there?
room. Yeah, it's right here in the dining room. So I asked my
Yeah.
family to not come around here for about an hour, um, especially my little grandson. Um, but yeah, I've been writing. So we
Yeah.
moved up in August. We spent a month, the entire month of August, in a hotel because
Oh,
our everything we owned was in a van somehow locked in L.A. until the moving company brought it up here. So I did a lot of reading and waiting. Then we finally moved in September, and then since then I spend about half my time reading and half my time writing. So I'm working
wow.
on a book called Voices of the Heart, and
Mm.
I've just finished chapter 5, so we got 7 more chapters to go. I plan to
Okay.
finish it by March, early spring, and then we'll get it published.
All
I'll send you
right.
copies.
All
Yeah,
right. Okay. Well, sounds like I need to book you in March then, and bring you back
anytime.
here to talk about a book.
Yeah,
I like
love
that
to,
idea.
love
I
to.
like that. Oh man, that's gonna be good. I can't wait to see that, and
Yeah,
a lot of ways to tell me stories of the heart. What's what's
yeah.
the idea there?
Voices of the Heart. It's stories of hope
Voices.
and assurance. 12
Mm,
chapters. It is all about 12 different losses that people have experienced, and it's a compilation of my 40 plus years of counseling, a lot of teaching and seminars and everything. And so I've taken stories that I remembered and changed the gender and the name and the place, but still kept the essence of the story. So it goes through explaining a story of whatever loss it might have been, and then at the end of each chapter, the person in that chapter, the key person, ends up talking to somebody, whether it's a pastor, a therapist, a friend, a nurse, a doctor, and
mm,
through that person, I kind of teach and give them advice on bereavement. So it ends up
wow.
it's a way of helping people through grief, but being able to identify with the person, the character in that particular chapter.
That
I'm
that sounds
excited. It's
awesome.
fun to
I
write it.
can't wait
Really,
to.
I didn't
Is
know
it
I'd
good?
enjoy writing this much, but since that's my career now, I love it.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, and that idea of loss, though, that's something that has it's kind of been a specialty in a sense. That's kind of a weird thing to say that you've
yeah,
specialized in loss and in grief,
yeah.
but it's really. I mean, it's become an area where you've been able to be a real help to people, right?
I, I certainly hope so. Yeah, been doing it
I
for a
mean,
lot of
it
years.
sure seems like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So what drew you to to be there for people in times of grief?
yeah. Bereavement isn't a subject or topic or part of life that anybody would necessarily be, I don't think, drawn to. But
Mm,
for me, my first pastorate right out of Bible college, when I was really young, is 1976. It was right here in Vancouver. Back when I moved here, graduated from Life Bible College in '76 and moved straight up here to Vancouver. Um, the city was 40,000 people. Now
mm,
it's 180,000. So it's grown quite a bit in that 40 plus years. Um, so I pastored over here for 3 years, moved across the river to Portland, Oregon, had a lovely little church in Portland. And in the 5 years I pastored there, there were two losses. Two people had died, but they were
oh,
very, very close friends because we had a church of about 100. I knew everybody and knew them well. But I did those beautiful services. They were glorious
mm,
end of life services, but I didn't know what to do with the people, the family members and
mm,
friends who were left. And it really bothered me. I thought, I don't know anything about grief. I need to at least study it. So I got in touch with some people who are grief therapists, and there's a group called the Compassionate Friends. They're an international organization of bereavement, mostly for siblings and parents of children who have died. And I got involved with them, and I really thought, you know what? This is something I need to do. So I was
Hmm.
halfway through my master's degree, and it was going to be a master's of divinity,
Hmm.
and from what is now George Fox University over
Mm-hmm.
in Newburgh. And I decided to switch my degree
Your
from an
emphasis, yeah.
MDiv, Master of Divinity, to a Master of Arts in counseling. And
Yeah.
they said, yeah, you can do that, but you need to leave the pastorate and just devote yourself full time to school.
Hmm.
I said, okay, I'll do it. So I resigned the pastorate after 5 years and took one more year and graduated with my degree in counseling psychology with the specialty in bereavement. Problem was,
Wow.
uh, at the university, they didn't have anybody, there's no program for bereavement because this is
Hmm.
back in 1984.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so they said, you need to write your own. We'll assign a professor to you and you do the research. So most of the material and knowledge I have now came from way back then, and I've used it all these years. So
Yeah.
after I graduated, moved down back to SoCal, lived in Orange County for a number of years, worked out of Calvary Chapel there in
Mm-hmm.
Capistrano Beach, and developed a practice. And out of that practice came a nonprofit corporation called Grief Care, and did that for 15 years. And then when I came to Emmanuel Faith 12 years ago, I had to let that go, and there you go. So
There you
it's
go.
always been
Wow.
a part of me, and I've been working on this book in my mind for all those years. And
Hmm.
finally, I have time to sit down and write it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like you said, it's not something that people just gravitate to. You don't
Yeah.
choose grief, but what is it about grief in particular that you find um, that helps shape people or helps you to see what they're missing, what they're dealing with?
Yeah. Many, or if not most people, feel as if grief is a punishment, or
Hmm.
it's on the spectrum of emotions, it's way at the far end because it's
Yeah.
sad and causes anger and all kinds of things. People lose identity, they lose purpose, all kinds of things. um, but it's grief is not meant to destroy us, it's meant to
Hmm.
transform us. And if I've been able to help people recognize that there's a transformative nature to grief, that they can begin to understand that, their perspective changes. And so when we understand that grief is it's not there to harm us, it's really there to shape
Hmm.
us,
Hmm.
then our perspective starts to change. And although we do feel the sadness, we feel a lot of a
Yeah.
myriad of emotions, um, the end result is, oh, I'm being changed by this.
Hmm.
It's kind of against my will, but I'm being I will be changed by it. So people
Yeah.
have two choices when it comes to a loss: is I can let it help me to grow, or I can withstand it and I won't grow.
Hmm. Wow. That that is huge. That reminds me of some. I mean, I feel like there's all sorts of biblical passages that talk about how
Mm-hmm.
we grow through trials, through
Mm-hmm.
pain. I think just this last weekend. Yeah, it was this last weekend. I think Ryan mentioned First Peter,
Mm-hmm.
chapter 1, that talks about us being refined by fire,
Yes.
and these trials are that refining process that actually brings out more in us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is really powerful.
Yeah.
Now, I, this part of the reason why, I mean, I thought this would be a great opportunity to interview you, especially in regards to grief, is that this is a time when I think we're all grieving something right now.
Hmm.
That everybody is, because I think oftentimes we think that grief is just for those people that that lost someone. Okay, and if you're out there this especially this Christmas season, and maybe this is the first year that you're spending Christmas without a loved one, our hearts go out to you, and we want you to know that especially as a church, we want to come alongside of you and help. And even though Chip's not here, we still have a lot of great resources for you here at the church, and we really care about that. But I think we often think that grief is just for those people and just for the mourning season. But I think one of the things about what COVID has done to us is I think that we are all in this collective state of grieving.
Hmm.
Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hear it all the
Have you
time.
experienced it? Yeah.
See it on the news. You see it just in people's other interviews, people's writings, all of it. It's not just loss itself, but it's loss in life transitions, any life transition. And we go through dozens of them in a lifetime, even good ones, cause there to be a change in how we view life,
Yeah.
our understanding of identity, why we're here, the purpose. All of that changes in a graduation, in a marriage, or in a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
a relocation, just moving up here. And what I
Yeah.
recognized for me, one of the major changes I wasn't honestly prepared for was retirement. I
Yeah.
I was working right up till, and then boom, to 31st of July, and then we move on August 1st, and we get up here and like, okay, who am I now and why am I here?
Wow.
And that I've
Yeah.
had to do a lot of introspection, a lot of prayer, a lot of waiting on the Lord, a lot of study of Scripture to recognize, okay, um, yeah, as you said, well, I hope I still have a pastor's heart, but no one will call me pastor. Matter of fact, one of the books I want to write when I'm done with Voices of the Heart is called From Pastor to Papa, because around here I'm known as Papa.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
and it's been a change because I just adore my grandson, and he's growing and he stretches all of us, and it's good.
Hmm.
But learning how to be a papa has been
Yeah.
interesting. I turned 70 in October, so I feel like, okay, I'm finally, I'm there. I'm a papa.
You can be a papa.
I can be a
You can
papa.
wear that title with pride now,
Oh, you bet.
huh?
You bet.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's good.
I think because of COVID and because of shutdowns and so many changes, and my heart especially goes out to those who live alone and then
Mm,
are isolated. It's,
mm,
I talked to so many people from March. I actually, went indoors March the 12th and
yeah.
until July 31st, had a lot of phone calls and conversations with people who were living alone, and my heart really broke for them. It's so tough. It's because it's such a transition. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're all grieving to some degree. And sometimes,
Absolutely.
that grief can turn into anger, and we don't fully understand it. Now, the fact that there's a vaccine coming eventually here, some say in just a few weeks, and all the way into next year, that gives us some hope. But I'm not sure we'll ever go back to being to the normal it was before. I think all of
Yeah.
us have changed so much. So many people work from home. My wife works from home. She's got an office upstairs. My son,
Yeah.
his partner, Brandon, they work downstairs. My daughter-in-law works upstairs. All of them have jobs, and they're all from
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And that's been a miracle in itself. And then me, I'm jobless, but I'm an author.
You're an author. Yeah. Well,
So,
you know, that it's really interesting because I think that there's a sense in which so many people that I talk to, it's like they have this. it's like a low grade depression. Now,
Yeah,
some people have like a real depression
yeah,
because of all this, and
sure.
yet, but I do think there's a lot of people out there that are just feeling a loss, right? We just went through Thanksgiving, and it
Hmm.
for a lot of people it wasn't what it
Yeah,
used to be.
yeah.
We didn't get to experience all the time with family. We're looking ahead to Christmas now, and there's just this sense that it's not going to be what it was, and there's people dealing with financial hardships
Hmm.
that are not going to be able to provide a Christmas the
Yeah.
way that they used to, and then that uncertainty of the future. Am I going to lose my house? Am I going to all those things kind of make this into a season of that could be really sad. Now, you
Hmm.
just mentioned some things that you've done, but what's your advice for people, for all of us that are dealing with loss, dealing with grief right now?
Yeah. Well, especially in this season. I used to do a seminar called Handling the Holidays, and we talked about that. Usually started teaching that in November. But there's some things that I jotted down, and I'll just remind myself and everybody else of them. Um, I think one of the things it requires of us is patience. We've just all had to come back to patience and learning it and developing it as a fruit of the spirit. It's like, wow, I guess I have more time to develop that now. And so patience becomes critical. Got to be patient with the process, patient with ourselves, patient with other people, patient with the season. And alongside that is just being real, be realistic about it. There are
Yeah.
limitations for all of us, and we're not
Now,
alone. Doesn't
before
matter.
you go before you
Yeah,
go past patience,
yeah,
that right there seems like a big deal, because I want this to be over.
yeah,
I'm ready for this to be done. And
yeah.
I'm guessing I haven't gone through the type of loss that you've dealt with people. I mean, I've lost some loved ones, but it was more like that was their time to go. It
Mm,
hasn't been something like that, but I'm guessing that there's a desire to get out of the loss, right? To just be
mm-hmm.
over it or something,
So,
and just to, but what you're saying is you got to go through this, huh?
no other way. No other
Hmm.
way. I think in going through it, it means there's going to be ups and downs. It's going to be emotional roller coaster, and it already has been for all of us. I think there are highs and lows.
Mm.
There are certain things to look forward to eventually, but patience is something that I think we carry with us past COVID. The deeper
Mm.
it gets in us, the more it's ingrained in us, the more, as I mentioned, we cultivate it as a fruit of the spirit, the more we can depend on it. And
Yeah.
so things that normally would just shock us or break us don't, because we
Mm.
have kind of the buffer of patience. So it becomes a
Yeah.
critical part of everything, I think.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah. So
second,
then you said be real, right?
yeah,
Is that the second, or yeah?
yeah, it is. Realistic expectations. It's like, well,
Hmm.
what should I expect? I mean, the six of us around here, we eat dinner together. We all do our own thing for breakfast and lunch, but we make sure we're all around the table for dinner. And Thanksgiving was sweet, and we are all thankful for the fact that we had each other, because we don't even know anybody up here. So
Yeah.
we
Oh.
haven't met a
Yeah.
few
What a terrible
doctors
time
and
to meet people. Yeah.
yeah, well, you just hardly can't. I mean, you meet people at the
Yeah.
drive-through window at Starbucks,
Yeah.
and
Some real
so
fellowship there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So we uh, we have to rely on each other. And again, if you're living as a couple, you have a family, so you kind of huddle together and realize, okay, this is what we have. It's going to be different, but let's make it what with the best we can with what we have
Mm-hmm.
and who we have. I think second to that, Josh, is listening to your own heart.
Hmm.
One of the gifts I think of this COVID season is the gift of time. That
Hmm.
since we're not most of us working outside, we don't. Uh, it's hard to even, we don't go to church. We can go outside. We can worship together. I think in California, you've changed that again. I thought I heard that. Y'all made the news up here.
Oh
But yeah,
yes, we
so
make the news. Yes.
yeah, so it's stricter. The guidelines are, but the upside of that is it affords us more time. And if we invest that time to listening to our own hearts, there's a wealth that God has put in us, in our hearts. Our hearts can be the wellspring of life. And it's one of the Proverbs, I think it's 24. But yeah, so listening to our own hearts is a real critical part, especially in the holidays. Especially in the holidays.
And one of the things I like about that, Chip, and I like this about you in general, but what you just said about there's an upside. um, I think we're so quick to just focus on the negative, on what we've lost, and instead of kind of looking at that there's still more, right? That there's an upside to this, even this lockdown, this COVID season, and how can we invest in that instead of putting all of our energy into fighting it or something like that? I think that's a powerful insight right there.
Yeah, I think that's important because I've had to do that. I mean, I spend most of the morning after everybody's gone away and everybody's had breakfast. They go to their respective offices, and so mine is the living room. So but I have some quiet time to read and to reflect and to meditate and to try to listen to my heart, because that's my writing. I try to read in the morning and write in the afternoon, and a lot of it is listening to my heart. And been a roller coaster. I mean, just recognizing, well, who am I now and why am I here? Wow. Which is what we do in any adaptation, any life transition. And COVID has been a life transition for everybody. There's not a person on the planet that's not affected by it. And so the entire world population is affected by COVID. And I think the question is, well, did God allow it? Well, yeah, I think so. He didn't cause it, but why did he allow it? We allowed it so we can become close to him. I mean, we have to. We really have to depend on him. And so it's an opportunity, if we see it as such, to draw closer to the Lord and listen and invite him into our thinking and our perceptions. He's there. He's there. He's not left. He hasn't changed. He's still who he is. And his yoke is easy, his burden is light. Matthew 11:28-30, I was rereading it this morning. And it becomes larger, bigger, easier to embrace when we're in any type of suffering. We want his yoke to be easy. We want his burden to be light. We want to draw close to him, and that becomes even more true. It's when we have to listen, we tend to. When we have to wait, we tend to. And one thing COVID has done makes us more aware of people, distancing from people, but it's hard to then take people for granted anymore.
Yes.
I mean, just seeing you, I haven't seen you, in 4 months, and
I know.
My mind is going back to dozens and dozens of conversations we've had, and lots of laughs together. Absolutely. And I miss that. I miss you. I miss the people I miss the church. I really do. Yeah. And so it's an adaptation to carry with me a lot of memories, a lot of really, really great memories. Absolutely. And yeah, so that's that.
That's really good.
You want me to go on and talk more about the holidays? I can. Yeah. Okay, well, a couple more things. It's adapting traditions. I mean, my wife and I've had certain traditions. We're adapting them because now we're in a family, a big family. And so we've been married 28 years, and it's just been the two of us. We have seen, our son and daughter-in-law and grandson on holidays and usually once a month. But now it's 24/7. So we've adapted everything. And
Yeah.
at first, it was, for me at least, awkward. I didn't really like it. I'm an introvert, and I like my quiet time. So it's learning how to balance that. And so we're looking for Christmas. My daughter-in-law is amazing at decorating, but she decorated our house probably a week before Thanksgiving. It's like, really? And what we found out is a lot of people in our neighborhood are doing that. And she was actually talking to one of them, and they said, yeah, we realized because of COVID, we need some more cheer. We need some
Yes.
brightness. So our whole neighborhood is absolutely lit up, and it's
Yeah.
December 2nd, and it's been lit up
Yeah.
for a week in most people. And
Yep.
it's
Yep.
kind of nice, but we need something to look
Yeah.
forward to.
We've seen that. And that in fact that's part of the reason why we decided we're gonna light up the church. And
Yeah,
so like I said earlier, we're gonna be on December 12th, we're going to be putting people to work, kind of like a
yeah,
work project where we're asking everybody to bring their own lights to the church, and
that's a
we're going to
great
light
idea.
this place up.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I think that's a great because we need some light. We need
We
to
need light.
change
We
some of
need
our
something to look
routines.
forward to.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
we do.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
Tears will come in the season, especially for those of us who've experienced a loss
Mm-hmm.
in this last year or 2 years or even longer. Often the holidays are the hardest time for people who've experienced a loss because it's family time.
Yeah.
And for us this year, for us meaning all of us as human beings, the loss is amplified because of aloneness, and some of us want to be with family. We can't. We're not really allowed to. It
Yeah.
can be dangerous. And so, because of the spread of COVID, so we have to adapt some things, adapt some traditions, allow the tears
Hmm.
to come, but they'll be mixed with joy. There is
Mm.
joy if we look for it. There is joy. There is
Mm.
always joy if we look for it.
There's
In
joy
my
if we look for
experience
it.
of,
Yeah.
of life, joy and pain are balanced out in God's economy of things.
Mm.
He will make sure that joy and pain end up being balanced. We don't choose when the balance comes. We might be in pain right now. There will be joy. It's just we don't get to say, "Okay, I want it today."
Yeah.
Joy will
Yeah.
come, but that's up to
Uh,
the Lord. So, last thing,
wow.
focus on the spiritual dimension or the spiritual aspect. I love what C.S. Lewis. One of my readings. I read all 7 books of the Chronicles of Narnia. I'd had
Yeah.
it, but it's been with me for a couple decades, and I finally thought I'm going to read all 7 back to back to back, and I did, and it was just delightful.
I
But
bet.
I love that C.S. Lewis says there are 2 holidays. They happen to run concurrently on December 25th. One holiday is where we celebrate with friends and family and put up Christmas trees and have lights and exchange presents. He said, I call
Yeah.
that winter holiday.
Winter
But then I
holiday. Yeah.
also celebrate Christmas. Now, Christmas is
Ah.
different. Christmas is the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. He said, I celebrate both. A lot of people don't. Some people just
Ooh.
celebrate one, some people celebrate both. I choose to celebrate both, but I don't get them confused. So I
Ah.
have
So
winter
good.
holiday and I also have Christmas. So I
Okay.
and I
You
like
just
that. I live that way.
you just tugged on one of my heartstrings of just of C.S. Lewis even. Oh my goodness. He just
Yeah,
has a way of saying things that just make sense because we've all done that where
yeah,
all of our planning is in like we've talked about the decorations. That's just a great thing and it brings cheer and joy. But we think about it as the gift giving and we got to prepare for Christmas.
yeah,
But what we're
yeah.
preparing for is winter holiday.
Winter
Ooh,
holiday. Yeah.
that's really good, which is a good thing. There's nothing bad about winter holiday,
No, delightful.
but really, but Christmas is where it's at.
Hmm. Yeah. For us as
Ooh,
believers, that's a celebration that is usually done. We can do it corporately, but it's also done individually. It's between me and the Lord, just saying, "Thank you,
Yeah.
Lord, that you were born." What a holiday, you know.
Hmm.
Who would we be without you? Can't even imagine it. Don't want to.
Yeah.
So Christmas, yeah, Christmas is really important because
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
the birth of Jesus. Yep,
And it's definitely difficult to. I mean, it may be difficult this year to celebrate winter holiday, but
I think so.
even and for a lot of people that may just it's going to be different at least.
Hmm.
But even if we're alone, we can find ways to celebrate
Yep,
Christmas.
yep,
That's powerful. And man, our by the way, our heart goes out to anyone out there that is
yeah.
feeling alone or is actually alone during this Christmas season. And
Uh-huh.
so, if you're out there, we wanna know if we can help in any way. Would you
Yeah,
reach out to us? You can reach out right here on Facebook, and you can let us know how we can pray. In fact, I'm gonna put a banner on the screen here where to send an emails here. But because if you just need prayer, then send us an email to prayer@efcc.org, where we get these and we pray for you. Let us know if you need help in any way, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, that's hard.
yeah,
Well, Chip, I love that. Yeah, that's really powerful stuff. You're um, the handling the holidays has
yeah.
been a tradition around here and it's been well received. I think you did that even in the community some.
Uh-huh.
Is that right?
Yes.
And that's been really powerful. Um, what I think you were on were you on point 3 or 4 there of
Oh,
your
yeah,
any more
pretty
for
much.
us?
Well, there's always more, Josh. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
I'm
I know.
pastors never quit talking. But I
Oh
think
yeah,
the key is really make it your own. You
make it
know,
your own. Yeah.
celebrate Christmas, but probably you're going to do it individually from your own heart. The winter holiday is whoever you can be with, and even if it's being alone in your own home, but doing it by phone or
Mm-hmm.
Zoom or whatever it might be, there's still a celebration there. Don't miss that
Yeah.
part. And yeah, it's going to be the ability to adapt any traditions that you used to have.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Mm-hmm.
remember a client that I had years and years ago, back when I had grief care. Her husband had died in July, and it came Christmas time, and she was still, of course, grieving and brokenhearted, and didn't want to celebrate at all. Didn't see
Mm.
anything, didn't see a reason. And her sons bought her a Christmas tree and delivered it to her. And they set it up in her living room, and it was bare. And they said, "Okay, Mom, now you can go ahead and decorate."
Hmm.
She said, "I'm not interested." "Oh, come on, really? No, you should. It'd be good for you." Days went by. Finally, she was just sitting in her living room looking at it and thought, hmm, there were a lot of gifts that my husband gave me. The ones that I remember the most were not material. They were the gift of forgiveness, the gift of joy,
Whoa.
the gift of laughter, the gift of his smile. So she started making little ornaments out of paper and hanging them on the tree. When she was done,
Hmm.
the entire tree was covered with gifts that she had received primarily from her husband, who is now in heaven. And she began to look at the tree and thought, you know what? I got a lot to be grateful for. And here it is.
Yeah.
Her sons came over for Christmas and said, "Mom, what have you done to the tree?" And she said, "Well, I want you to add to it.
Hmm.
What are the things that your father gave you?" And I don't mean surfboard or
Hmm.
a shirt or
Yeah.
anything. I mean what. And so they added their own. And We've done that. When my mom passed 13 years ago, we did that. When my dad passed 23 years ago, we did that. Um, and I like that idea because it puts a whole new dimension to giving and receiving. And when you think about it, stuff all fades. It really does. And we don't take it with us. What we do take with us is how we've been forgiven, how we've been loved, how we've been shaped by people's kindness. And those are the gifts that mean the most and stick with us.
Hmm. Oh, Chip, that is so powerful, and this is where I'm so looking forward to your book with all the insights that's going to come out of this. Um, there's something about grief. What I'm just processing this and thinking about this, and even as we think about the title of this podcast is Vitalogy, like the study of life, and here we are talking about this idea of death. I love, in fact, someone brought it up here, Nancy. Nancy, if you're still with us, you brought up this last line that you said that as you were working with children, bereavement has been a blessing and causes me to live life more. I thought that was a great statement that she said,
Yeah.
and I think there's something about that is powerful. That as we experience this together as this terrible thing, this loss, that we hope that it'll actually help us to live life more. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
this is just, let me just say, it's downright biblical. Because here's the thing, and this is what I love about this kind of path that God's led you on of counseling people through grief. And it's because and even just counseling in general. I mean, all the stuff that you've done through the years of counseling people that are hurting. See, when you go for counseling, you've got to kind of admit that something's wrong, right? That you need help at least.
Sure. Yeah.
That you're hurting, that you've lost, and all those things. You have to admit that, and it's from that place of admitting weakness that we can finally
Yeah.
find strength, right?
Exactly.
This is
That's
this is what I think this is so. This is what I love about this, because as Jesus said to Paul, that he says that my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness, in loss,
yeah.
in even this crazy COVID time. That's where this is where we can find God's power in the midst of this.
Yeah.
I really love that.
When I'm an oldie at 70 years old here, but I graduated from high school in 1968. Very crazy year, and in that
Yeah.
year, I can still remember it. I can see it. Martin Luther King was assassinated, and
Mm.
Robert Kennedy stood in a parking lot, and he quoted from Aeschylus, and this quote has stuck with me ever since. And the quote from Aeschylus, who was a scholar, philosopher: "He who learns must suffer, and even in our sleep, pain that cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart. And in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom to us by the awful grace of God."
Ooh.
And yeah, Aeschylus, look him up. He's phenomenal.
By the awful grace
Grace
of
of
God.
God.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, the
yeah.
awful can mean more than just bad, right? It is the
Well, I think it's
awe
full of awe. Yeah,
inspiring.
it's full of
Wow.
awe.
And
And
yet that double meaning of the toughness of grace sometimes.
yeah,
Ooh, that's powerful.
yeah.
That's really
Aeschylus.
powerful.
So, and I've quoted that to many, many, many clients and in seminars and various things. But it resonates for any of us who've been through loss. Even against our will, we learn. C.S.
Mm.
Lewis, when his wife Joy died, said, it's a horrible thing, loss is, but you learn. My God, you
Mm.
learn.
Yeah.
And I was shaking his hand. It's in the in the movie Shadowlands.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal movie, by the way, to rent
Mm-hmm.
if you've experienced the loss of a spouse in particular. Shadowlands, and then read his book, A Grief Observed.
Yeah,
Uh, Powerful stuff. Really helps you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Chip, this has been such a pleasure for me to get to talk to you and hang out. I mean, you even mentioned it was 12 years ago that you came here, and I think
Yes.
within a month or so that I got here as well, and so we've been able to kind of do this
Yeah.
journey to Emmanuel faith for a long time,
Yes.
and so now I'm so glad that you are where you are, and I think that getting you behind a pen and a paper and or a computer, I'm sure, but and
Yeah.
writing, that this you're
Yeah.
gonna be able to pass on your knowledge to so many more people. And I know, and I've heard that this isn't just the only book, but there's more to come. And
Yeah.
so
Three altogether.
I'm
Yeah.
all right. Well, I look forward to great things coming out of you, and everybody out there. I want to say thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for joining us on the podcast. If you're tuning in that way, there's gonna be more information about that coming out, and we just want to say thank you. It is such a pleasure to have you in on this conversation with us, and we hope that during this time that you can find time, if nothing else. I just love what Chip you said about listening to your heart, that maybe during this time, if we can be people who become better at listening to our heart,
Mhm.
because right there in our heart, Jesus is wanting to show you how to live in his ways with his heart, because that's what a vital life is all about. That's what it's
Mhm.
like to live an abundant life, no matter where you are and what you're experiencing. So, Chip, any last words for us today?
I miss you. I miss you all,
Uh,
and pray for you often. And I feel the prayers, for me up here. Every day I sit down to write, and I know people are praying for me, and I can feel it. So,
that's right.
yeah, and the adjustment's been good. It's been challenging. It's shaping, and it's good. It's life, and so um, I thank my family for being quiet in this last hour.
We thank them too.
Yeah.
We thank them too. Well, okay. Well, we'll let them talk here in just a minute. So we're gonna say goodbye to everyone else, and Chip, you don't go away. I'll say goodbye to you in just a moment. But God
Okay.
bless everybody. You
Okay.
take care.